We're live! Greeting, warriors. Welcome to the Wake. All right. I apologize. I got back from vacation yesterday, and last night there was no way I was going to do the Wake. I was worn out. But I'm tan, rested, and ready, and trust me, I am ready for the summer. We have a ton of things we got going on, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So, let's talk about Trinitas, right? I really like this movie a lot. And one of the big reasons was, like a lot of these movies, right, when they have the plot development, it kind of like takes forever for it to get moving, right? This one jumped right into it, right? And I knew, right, that boyfriend, boom, could not stand him from the beginning. Knew he was shady. You know what I'm saying? But everybody in the movie, right? From the lead to her two ghost-busting friends, right? To the crazy lady up the block, right? The mom, the boyfriend. Everyone in this movie was a really good actor. And I can see them going, I can't see them like, winning an Oscar next year. But I can see them like, in regular programming, especially drama. The girl that was the lead would be perfect in like, a drama, like a cop drama or something. She had that like weird intensity. Because every time she passed out, it was like, and I thought the one time she cracked her head open, she came down and it was like, oof, God, But I liked how it developed, and then every now and then you popped into her dream world, so you didn't know if the dream world was the real world, right? And it wove itself, as the old guys would say, it wove itself one hell of a tale. But it did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And you guys at Bayview, keep the good work going, right? Because the better you do, the better we do. Because trust me, we're going to have a handful more of your movies on throughout the year, and I'm looking forward to it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was one of the few movies that we've had on, right? That like it wasn't like like 15 minutes in, like, oh God, where's this going, right? It paced itself well, right? And the flashbacks worked well. Right, and then just the interaction between the mother and the daughter, right? I thought it worked perfectly, and I was actually like, this is one of the movies I watched it 1.5 times. I didn't watch it all the way through the second time, mainly because like I was trying to get stuff ready for vacation. When I watched it through the first time, I took my notes, and the second time, when I realized the movie was 110 minutes. Which means it's only left 10 minutes for me, right? Which was perfect, right? That's why you didn't see, like, you only saw me at the beginning and at the end. And at the beginning, right, nothing against John, but when he put the edit in, he put the first segment and the second segment together, right? Second segment should have been, like, maybe, like, 45 minutes in, right? Because I only did 3 segments for the show because, like I said, we only had 10 minutes. But other than that, like, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys did. It was a lot less of us and a lot more of the movie, right? So it's just one of those things. Like, we didn't have jokes this week, mainly because we didn't have the time for it. For our letter, right, my answer was no, because we didn't have time. So when we get movies that are a little bit longer, right, and we have the sports and all that involved, right, we're going to be cut strictly down to the 2-hour mark, right? Which, like I said, is less of me, but more of the movie. And right, and what are you guys there for? Me or the movie? You should be there for the movie. I'm glad you're there for me, But, so, like I said, I got back from vacation, right? You guys will laugh. I did some fishing. Me and the boys went out fishing. Did some beach time. I got 3 books that were handed to me by the different people I've interviewed. One from Chris Blake, the Cape May Murders, and then the other 2 for Corey Andrews, I believe his name is. And where did I put the book? I don't have it sitting here. But I'll be doing individual book reviews of those 3. And it's just funny because like I used to be an avid reader. I used to read like 2-3 books a week. I was like an avid reader. 90% of it was science fiction. I read superhero novelizations, right? I was never a murders kind of person when I would go for what I would read. And I'm telling you, these 3 books have been fantastic. And I had my cousin Bill Durning, way to go, Bill. He had sent me a book on the people disappearing down at oh my God, at Roanoke, right? Which I'm really looking forward to reading. And then a friend of mine from work, right, who I did a favor for, sent me a book, right, autographed too, which was really cool, right? Keith, I appreciate this. And it's about the Negro, or it's about minor leagues down in southern Georgia back in the day. And I'm really looking forward to that because you guys know, like, I'm a Negro League historian. I'm a huge baseball fan. Not as much as I used to be. I'm a huge baseball fan. So I'm really looking for it. And I'm going to add to my repertoire of not just doing movie reviews. I'm going to be doing these book reviews. And you guys, out of the 3 books I read when I was down the shore, all winners. Perfect beach reading. Okay? But, so we have this week coming up, and let me get the movie. It's called Cat and the Canary. All right? Now, Cat and the Canary is a silent movie, and it is, and do I have it? Oh my goodness, got everything else. Oh, I don't have it. Let me go get it. But Cat and the Canary, right? We'll just bring this up. Cat and the Canary is it's a silent film. It's a house film, right? Meaning that it has to do with like an inheritance and all that kind of stuff. It's sort of a lot like oh my goodness, the movie we had on earlier, the rabid grannies, that kind of thing. There's not rabid grannies in this one, but I mean that kind of that kind of movie where there's an inheritance and intrigue behind it. But so that's going to be on this Friday at 8 o'clock, right? So we're expecting rain up and down the East Coast, right? So what are you going to do? You can sit in the house instead of watching fireworks outside because it's raining. You can sit in the house after you gorged yourself on spare ribs and brisket and pulled pork and burgers and dogs and chicken, all that great 4th of July stuff. You flop yourself on the couch and you watch Cat and the Canary. Now that's with the Doc and I, okay? So we split the summer up. So the Doc and I are doing the Cat and the Canary, okay? Then the following week, right, I'm going to be doing the Eye Creature, all right? And the Eye Creature it's your typical 50s B movie, creature from outer space, you guys will love it. So I'm doing that myself. And then Curse of the Swamp Creature, right, the Doc is doing on his own, and that's on 8/1. We're off a couple weeks in the middle and I'm going to go over Stockade Football from Kingston, New York, and the New York Boulders, which is another, it's a minor league baseball team. So they're going to be taking up a lot of our spots, right? Then we have Curse of the Swamp Creature, right? Doc's doing that one, and then I'm doing It's Alive. And It's Alive, Curse of the Swamp Creature, and the Eye Creature, they could all pretty much be a marathon because they're all very similar, right? The same 50s B movie stuff, you know what I mean? And you guys will enjoy it. I'm looking forward to it. And especially like, The Eye Creature. What a bad movie, And you guys will love it. It's hokey, it's funny, right? I have a few things I'm going to be doing for it. And that's also the night that Blobfest starts, right? So that Friday night, they do a big run out, right? You guys remember I was on the news last year, doing the run out, right? I'm looking forward to it again. I have a blast at Blobfest. It's nice being at a place where there's thousands of people who are just like you, right? Meaning love science fiction, love the weird stuff, right? And I have a blast, right? But, so that's what we got going through the summer for movies, right? But we have some sports coming up, and let me grab you some of the sports we got. So we got summer. All right. So let's go with the Stockade. All right. So the Kingston Stockade, they're a professional soccer team out of Kingston, New York. Well, if you know where Kingston is, it's sort of like lower state New York, but not New York City. Okay, great place. Actually, I was at a wedding there probably like 30 years ago. But Kingston's a great place, right? The Stockade, they're a football. They're a soccer team that's growing, right? They're doing real well in their division. And if you guys know how American soccer is, it's not like European soccer. It's more like baseball over here. European soccer, you can float up and down in the different groups, the different leagues, right? Whereas in America, you're stuck in your league, and they're actually doing really well for their league this year. So I'm looking forward to that. They're going to be on a lot of nights. We got bumped last night for Trinitas for them, right? That was the plan. That's why we were on a little bit late. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. You know what I mean? I'm not. Well, I'm going to say I love soccer. I don't love soccer. I'm more of a rugby guy. But the way soccer's grown in America, and if you guys are down here in Philadelphia these past few weeks, they have the World Cup of clubs, right? So it's all the best clubs from around the world playing. And it's just funny because my cousin is a huge Barcelona fan, I think it is, Barcelona. And he went down to the game on Friday. And they didn't start the game till 9 o'clock at night. And the reason why is because they're trying to make this popular, like get everybody in America into it. So that's 6 o'clock on the West Coast. They can watch it. But that just means everybody on the East Coast is not going to watch it because it's 9 o'clock at freaking night, But, it's been here. I think it's down in Baltimore, and I think it's up in the Meadowlands or whatever the heck you guys call it up there now, for that World Cup, and it's actually pretty cool. And I was watching some of it the other day, and it's good soccer, So, well, it's the best of the world's clubs. Then after that, we have the New York Boulders. Okay, now the New York Boulders, I believe they're a AA baseball, right? I was actually hanging with another cousin this past week, and he lives right over, I think it's right over in Connecticut. And he was telling me that, the Boulders is really good baseball, right? So I'm actually looking forward to seeing, what the heck is that? Why is that not hanging down the way it should? I gotta move it like that, or leave it like that. Green screens, they're way more difficult than I thought. Anyway, but the New York Boulders really competitive minor league baseball team. The boss was working his ass off to try to get a baseball team, and it was funny because earlier in the year we were talking, and it was one of those things like, oh yeah, we got baseball coming up, But the fact that we got these guys, right? They're a really, really good team. So I'm looking forward to watching some of those games, and I think we're picking them up starting in August, And then we have all of the football, right? And I'm so looking forward to Strathaven football. And all you bars down there in the Delco area, you better hop on this, right? And sell some commercial time, because I'm telling you, the highest rated shows last year, right, were like the games where it was Strathaven, Ridley, Strathaven, Interborough, Strathaven, Springfield, right? Were three of the bigger games, on our station, right, with a lot of viewers, right? And that's a station we're out of Brooklyn, right? So you guys, I'm telling you, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't try to get some advertising on when we have the Strathaven football and all that. Okay. But other than that, right? We have, like I said, we have great rest of the summer coming up with all the different things that got going on. The summer schedule was put out a couple weeks ago where it starts off with Sir Lancelot in the morning and all that, was starting out in May, right? If you notice, there's a lot of the lot of the other horror shows been popping up on there, like the Midnight Movie and Sally and Mr. Lobo and all those guys, right? They've been popping up on the show on the network, right? And it's really nice to have them all into the family, especially Offbeat Cinema, which is on after us every Friday night, right? And the other one, Creature Features. The one dude, so when you watch Creature Features, right? Yeah, the one dude who looks like, he's like the butler, right? He's very stoic, big black dude, stoic butler, right? And then the guy who looks and acts, he to me, he's like trying to be the Ozzy Osbourne of horror shows, right? He's pretty good. He's not great, but he's pretty good. He's entertaining. And then they have on the show this girl, right? And she's sort of like the girl from the movie Ring. She's sort of like Wednesday Addams, right? She's got like long mop head kind of hair, like it looks like a mop, right? Doesn't say anything, right? And she's actually the comic relief, and I thoroughly think she's friggin' hysterical, right? And like I said, then there's Dr. Blood Ra or Lord Blood Ra, right? He was on last night, so we have a ton of entertainment, right? And the other guy, the guy that does the film noirs, like the old cop shows and mob movies, right? From back in the 40s and 50s, right? I'm loving his stuff. And they're actually doing a thing at the Colonial this year in November. And I'm going to try to get a press pass first, right? To go down there and then like shoot some stuff from there. And hopefully he's there. We could like get together and do some bits for the network. But, all right, well, that's where I'm at this week, right? Looking forward to us doing Cat and the Canary again, right? Doc and I did that together. We did that about a month ago, right? Really funny bits, right? The Doc outdid himself yet again, right? And, hopefully the Doc has some video from Monster Bash, right? We could throw in there. If not, no biggie, right? But, like, I can't wait to hear some of his stories from Monster Bash, right? For him, like, I like going to those things, like to interview people, right? I like to just walk around and see all the craziness that goes on at conventions. He's more there for family because he has built up such a network of friends in the horror genre, right? That he goes there. For him, it's more of like a family reunion. It's sort of like my vacation last week, but it's like a family reunion, and he has such a good time. He comes back with smiles and everything, So I'm looking forward to talking to him this week, to see how he did at Monster Bash. And just see how everything's going with him, right? And, we don't see each other for a month or so at a time. Yet we text every day, it seems. But, all right, it's the Mad Darbarian for WONTV, 48, Brooklyn, and Cemetery Cinema. So for me, Dr. Dredd, the boss, right, and all of our friends and family at Cemetery Cinema, WON, I'll see you during the week. And we'll talk about what's going on next week, all right, with Cat and the Canary. I'll see you. I'm out of here. And it won't turn off. All right. Well, stop streaming.